Okay, good morning. We're in Sanhedrin Perek Gimel, Mishnah Zayin. In the last one or two Mishnayos, we learned about the Eidim, the witnesses, how they're examined, how they're cross-examined, how do we verify their legitimacy, and then the discussion about their testimony between the Dayonim, and ultimately we get to the Psak Din. So the Psak Din is what is referred to in the Mishnah as the Gemar Din. The Gemar Din. The Gemar Din is the verdict. So this Mishnah is going to discuss after the Dayanim, after the judges discuss the case among themselves, and they reach a conclusion. Then they announce the verdict. How is the verdict announced? Says the Mishnah, Gomer is Hadover. When they decided the case, the dover refers to the case. They bring in the litigants. They bring in the litigants into the bezdin, into the courtroom, to hear the verdict. Why do they have to bring the litigants in? What does that mean? So the point is that although the litigants were in the bezdin to present their claims, and also to hear the witnesses who were being questioned, as we learned in Mishnah Vav. They were sent out when the Dayonim deliberated. They were sent out so that the Dayonim could discuss the matter among themselves without the litigant being present, so that the litigant would not know how each of the Dayonim ruled, so that they would not know how each of the Dayonim ruled. The Rav says in Zayin, Hoyu Motzin Lachutz, they would send them outside, Kedei sheyisu v'yishnu b'dovos, so they were able to deliberate and discuss among themselves, V'lo yishmeu abalei dinim, and the litigants should not hear, mi mechayev u'mi mezakeh, so that they would then have ill feelings towards this dayan or the other dayan and so forth. So the Mishnah says, they would bring them into the court. The head judge would then say, Ish ploini at zakai. He would say to Reuven, you are not liable, or they would say, Ish ploini at chayav, or they would say to Shimon, you are liable. Now says the Mishnah in relation to this comment that we made, that the Dayonim, that the litigants are sent out so that they should not hear what each of the Dayonim render their opinion. So the Mishnah reinforces that. Moreover, not only should the litigants not have ill feelings towards this dayan or the other dayan, and therefore they are outside during the deliberation, so that they should not hear, as the Rav says, "V'lo yishmeu balei dinim." But there is also a special instruction to the dayanim themselves. From where do we know that after the dayanim leave the court, they leave the bezdin? How do we know that after one of the dayanim leaves the courtroom, he may not say to a litigant, he shouldn't say to one of the litigants, hey, you know what? Ani mezakeh, but v'chaverei mechayvim. I found you not liable. You were potur. You were not guilty. But what can I do? My fellow judges found you liable. Chaverei mechayvim. Aval ma'aseh, what should I do? What could I have done? Shechaverei rabu alai. My fellow judges outnumbered me. It was 2-1. It was a rabbim. I felt that you were not guilty. But what can I do? My fellow judges outnumbered me. Oh, let him never say such a thing. Al ze ne'emar, concerning this, it says a pasuk in Vayikra Perek Yutes, in Parshas Kedoshim, Lo yisei lech rochil be'amecha. Do not go about gossiping among your people. And moreover, says the Mishnah, Ve'omer, it also says, the Pasuk in Mishlei, Perek Yud Aleph, there it says, Hoylech rochil megalesoid. The one who goes about gossiping, he reveals soid, he reveals secrets. So let's understand this. That in the first pasuk, the Torah forbids one person to say to another, so and so said this about you, or so and so did this to you. Rechilis. But even if so and so's words or actions were proper and correct, as in the Mishnah's case, that of a judge ruling in a monetary dispute, still in all, the speaker has sinned, because by revealing these matters, he arouses hatred and conflict between one person and another, and therefore he may not under any circumstances say, oh, I voted for you, Potu, you were not liable, but my Chaverim. Now, interestingly, the Mishnah also adds a second pasuk. It quotes the pasuk from Kedoshim Loiselech Rochil Be'amecha, which is the issue for everyone to tell tale, even if it's true. Even if it's true. But the Mishnah adds an additional pasuk from Mishlei that says, Oylech Rochil Megalesoid, that he who goes about gossiping reveals secrets. Because without this pasuk, it could have been thought that the issue of Rechilus applies only where the speaker intends to arouse hatred and strife. So the second pasuk comes along and tells me, the second pasuk which states that he reveals secrets, implies that revealing secrets is wrong even without intention to harm anyone else. So explains the Tosfos Yontif. That's Mishnah Zayin. Let's also learn Mishnah Ches, and we'll finish the Perek. This Mishnah Mishnah Ches deals with the right of a litigant to bring proof after the Beis Din has already issued its psak din. That a litigant has a right to bring proof even after the psak din has already been announced against him. Kol zman shemei viraya. Whenever a litigant brings evidence, brings proof that supports his claim, even after the verdict was issued. Kol zman shemei viraya, soiser esadin. And the proof that he brings now is found to be credible. It was verified to be authentic, legitimate. Soiser esadin. The court undoes its verdict and issues a new verdict, issues a new psak din in his favor. Omru loi, but if the judges said to him, Kol raya sheyesh lecha, havei mikan ad 30 yoim, any evidence that you have, any evidence that you may have from here on in to support your claim, bring it within 30 days. So then what? The halacha is that if he finds evidence within 30 days, so the court undoes its verdict. But if he does not find evidence until after 30 days, he brings it after 40 days, after 50 days, so then the Beis Din no longer can undo its verdict. This is the opinion of the Tanakama. If they told him bring up until 30 days, he brought within 30 days, the verdict can be undone. He brought it after 30 days, says the Tanakama, Einoi soiser. The court cannot undo its psak. Comes along Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Omer Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, hey, what's the story? So what if he brought it after 40 days? What if he brought it after 50 days? Too late? What if it's credible evidence? What if it's good evidence? What if it's new Eidim he found? Says Rav Shimon Gamliel, why do you say that after 30 days it can no longer be undone? What should this litigant, what should this poor litigant do if he couldn't find the evidence within 30 days? And he found new evidence after 30 days. Should he lose the case just because he was unable to find the evidence within the guidelines that he was given, within the deadline that he was given? But the fact is that now he has proof. And if he has proof, the court has no right to ignore it. The court has no right to ignore it. Now, why does the Tanakama say that only up until 30 days? Why can't he stretch it out further, 40 days, 50 days, 60 days? So the Rav explains. The Rav explains. Arei ze eino klum. Why is it eino klum? Why is it eino klum? We'll see in the next case, which will encompass the first case as well. Amuloi, the Mishnah continues. A dispute about a similar situation. Amuloi, the judges said to him during the trial, the Dayanim turned to him and say, hey, Rabbi, have Eidim, bring witnesses to support your claim. Ve'omar ainli Eidim. He said, I have no Eidim. I have no witnesses. Amuloi, or if they said to him, Averaya, bring a document, bring some verification, bring some written proof. Ve'omar, and he says, ainli Raya, I have no document to bring as evidence. But later on, he brought a document as evidence, or he found witnesses to testify on his behalf. It's nothing. It's worthless. Since he said that he had no proof, so we suspect that he forged the document. We suspect that he forged a document, or he hired witnesses to come and testify falsely for him. Here you see it in the Rav, which I mentioned earlier. Arei ze eino klum, sharei omar ein li, v'chayshinon shema ziyev. We suspect that he forged some document, or we suspect shesochar eidei sheker. He went out and hired false witnesses to come. He paid them off. They should come and testify for him. Now again, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel also is choilek on the Tanakama. On this Tanakama, the Tanakama says the Bezdin told him bring witnesses. The Bezdin told him bring evidence. He said I don't have. Later on he came with witnesses. Later on he came with evidence. It's nothing. We're afraid that he was mezayef. Here too, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel is choilek just like he did in the first case. Omer Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, hey, why are you penalizing this fellow? What should he do if he didn't know then that he had witnesses? And later he found witnesses. He didn't know that he had a document as evidence, and later he found a document as evidence. He found written verification corroborating his claim. He might have been truly unaware. He didn't know there was a document. He didn't know there were witnesses. And he put in more time and effort, and he came up with it. And so the court may not suspect him of having bribed the witnesses or forged a document, says Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. No, why are you suspecting him? On the basis of what are you suspecting him? If you have proof that he forged, if you have proof that he bought off a bunch of witnesses, okay, we understand. But if not, he simply came up with it later. Why should he be penalized? Now, in the following case, however, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel agrees that the new evidence is assumed to be false. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel was makil both in case number 1 and case number 2. Why are you penalizing a guy who shows up with his witnesses or evidence later? But Rav Shimon ben Gamliel has one case in which he agrees with the Tanakama. Amuloi, if they said to him, Ave Eidim, If they said to him, bring witnesses to support your claim. And right away he responded, Ein li edim, I have no witnesses. They said to him, Averaya. They said to him, bring a document as evidence. And he said right away, Ein li raya, I have no document to bring as evidence. Oh, shemischayev badin. But then when he saw that the case is turning against him, he saw that he was about to be found guilty. He was going to be found liable in the psak din. Oh, so right away he said, "Ve'omar kirvu ploini uploini ve'eduni." He said, "Let so and so come forward. Let so and so come and give aid for me." Or he said, "Oh, also all of a sudden he pulls out from his belt. He pulls out a document as evidence that will prove that he's not guilty." So, this is nothing. Because if he had it, he should have answered right away when he was asked, bring the proof. If he had the edim, he should have said right away, they can come in and testify from me. Since he had the witnesses or the document at hand, and yet he told the Beis Din that he had no proof, so that is absolute proof, even according to Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, that he's a phony, that he's a liar, that he's producing it now in a desperate effort to avoid losing the case. Okay, that's the end of Perek Gimel.